A very warm welcome to Africa. Good morning. We are broadcasting the news making headlines across Africa. My name is Aina Raiza Koyo, and alongside me is Eshwen Berry in your company from now until 8 a.m.
And it is fantastic to be here. Today is Celebrate Your Unique Talent Day. We all have remarkable talents that are unique to us, and there needs to be a time to celebrate those talents, not just for the world, but for ourselves. Can you whistle through your nose? How about balancing an apple on your chin? Can you say the alphabet backwards while belching? Ooh,
wow.
It doesn't matter what your special talent is. Celebrate Your Unique Talent Day is your chance to shine. Do you have any unique talents?
I think I do, but I don't have them at the top of my mind right now.
All I can think about is my dog and I doing tricks. We'll share the day together. Here's a video on Celebrate Your Unique Talent Day.
Happy Wednesday, and here are the news-making headlines. In Congo, militiamen launches deadly attack on displaced people's camp in the east. About 30 civilians have been killed in Drodo, Lagu, and other nearby villages in Juju Territory and Ituri Province during attacks attributed to Cooperative for Development of the Congo militant group between 21 and 22 November. According to locals, the Codeco militia targeted a site hosting internally displaced persons in Drodo and a part of the village of Parish, setting ablaze several shelters as military teams were slow to respond. The site manager says 18 bodies were found. The army said 12 civilians were killed and 9 attackers were neutralized. Other local sources say that the death toll is likely to be higher, with around 30 people dead, including militiamen.
All right, in our second story, at least 10 civilians, 9 gendarmes killed in attack in Burkina Faso. Now, the Minister of Government spokesperson Oseni Tambora announced on Monday that at the military detachment of Fobe, there was an attack in the San Mantenga in Burkina Faso, killing at least 10 civilians and 9 gendarmes. The attack has not yet been claimed. On November 14, the detachment of the Inata Gendarmerie in Soum province in the Sahel region was attacked by unidentified armed groups, killing 53 people, including 49 soldiers. The attack of Fobe came as we were preparing to bury 36 gendarme victims of Inata, said Tabora. Since 2015, Burkina Faso has been facing a worsening security situation, with attacks that claimed the lives of more than 1,000 people and displaced over 1 million others.
In our next story, SAMIM kills 11 ASWJ terrorists. In support of Forças Armadas Defesa de Mozambique, SAMIM forces launched an offensive operation on the 18th of November 2021, which led to the killing of 11 Al-Sunna Wajama terrorists. 9 of the 11 terrorists were killed in an exchange of fire in the general area of Makomia district, while 2 were killed in the general area of Ninga, Nagade district, where their base was captured and subsequently destroyed. Amongst the dead are 2 ASWJ terrorist operational commanders, namely Rajabo Fikwe and Abu Kwitali. No casualties were sustained by SAMIM forces. During this operation, SAMIM forces confiscated weapons that included RPG-7 launchers, PKM machine guns, and AK-47 rifles, grenades, and electronic devices, amongst others.
Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed vows to lead army from the battlefront. Ethiopia's Nobel Peace Prize winning Prime Minister says he will lead his country's army from the battlefront starting Tuesday, a dramatic new step as the year-long conflict moves closer to the capital Addis Ababa. The statement by the 45-year-old Prime Minister, a former soldier, did not say where exactly he will go on Tuesday. His spokeswoman Bilen Seyum did not respond to a request for comment from the Associated Press news agency. Now, former U.S. diplomat William Lawrence noted Abiy had used a lot of war imagery when accepting his Nobel Prize, but that had been to highlight the horror of war. And here we are almost full circle with the Nobel Peace Prize winner using the most bellicose language to try and ramp up the stakes ahead of the defense of not only Ethiopia, but life and death, Lawrence said. He says he's basically willing to die for the cause. Envoys from the African Union and the U.S. have continued diplomatic efforts in pursuit of a ceasefire and talks without conditions on a political solution.
In Sudan, Antony Blinken urges progress before U.S. aid resumes. The Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Monday held separate calls with Sudan Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok and the top general Abdel Fattah al-Burhan. The U.S. has not yet resumed the $700 million in emergency assistance that is halted following October's military coup that ousted Hamdok. On Sunday, after weeks of negotiations, Sudan's military leader accepted a deal to reinstate Hamdok as prime minister. In reaction to the development, Blinken said he was encouraged by the deal. However, State Department spokesperson Ned Price told reporters a decision on the financial aid will be predicted entirely on what happens in this coming hour and the coming days and even the coming weeks.
Now, in Kenya, government to lock out unvaccinated Kenyans from public transport, hotels, and NTSA services. The government announced a radical plan on Sunday aimed at supporting an ongoing COVID vaccination campaign, threatening to withhold key services from Kenyans who fail to take vaccines. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe, who was flanked by his tourism and wildlife counterpart Najib Balala, said those who fail to take vaccines will be denied access to public transport and hotels beginning 21 December 2021. Everybody seeking in-person government services should be fully vaccinated and proof of vaccination availed by 21 December 2021. Nobody is saying that it is mandatory to be vaccinated, but if you want to come to my office for services and everyone there is vaccinated and you are not, that is unfair. The law is clear and it is on our side. The courts cannot force somebody who is vaccinated to entertain someone who is not vaccinated, Kagwe said.
In our next story, COP26 was a flop, but there is still hope. Unfortunately, despite being touted as our last best hope, the COP26 climate summit in Glasgow ended up being just another big flop, thus confirming that people should not expect international climate summits or government to solve the climate crisis. Indeed, the only hope for solving humanity's greatest existential crisis lies with our ability to mobilize behind the global climate movement. The outcome of COP26, a great compromise between moderates and reactionaries, does very little to slow down our pace towards the precipice. The final document, called the Glasgow Climate Pact, showed no progress with regards to existing national plans to cut emissions by 2030, which are not enough to limit the global warming to 1.6 degrees. Activism is indeed the key ingredient behind the support for green transition programs, and even some major legal victories have been won in the fight against global warming. European courts sided with activists in their effort to put an end to logging in Asian protected forests in Poland. Driving bans have been enforced in some of Germany's inner cities, and a Dutch court ordered oil giant Royal Dutch Shell to cut its greenhouse emission by 45% by 2045.
In South Africa, ANC crashes out of Johannesburg Metro. DA's Dr. Mpho Phalatse becomes mayor of South Africa's biggest city. At the end of a day of significant council losses for the ANC, the party crashed out of power in Johannesburg too, as the DA's Dr. Mpho Phalatse won the mayoral chains of the ANC candidate Mpho Moerane. Phalatse won 144 votes to Moerane's 121, becoming Johannesburg's first woman mayor. The ANC's Black Monday was capped as Phalatse took the chains after the Action SA candidate Herman Mashaba stepped back from his demand that he be crowned executive mayor. Mashaba was smarting after a weekend of tough negotiations with the DA, but said in a statement that the party had chosen country over party. "We cannot betray this commitment to South Africans because of the petty party political personality."
In our second last story, the rise of shark fishing off the Congolese coast. With the rise of industrial fishing off the Congolese coast, artisanal fishing crews have increasingly focused on shark fishing to make a living. Shark fishing is not new. Reportedly, shark fishing crews went out on narrow canoeing like perigos as far as from 1980s, but the phenomenon has increased steadily in the past 2 decades, and activists warn the practice is becoming unsustainable. Other factors have driven this boom, including the construction of offshore oil infrastructure and that has reduced areas where artisanal crews can fish just as much as industrial fishing meant a greater competition. And the continuing demand for shark fins in part of Asia makes shark fishing lucrative. On most days, hundreds of sharks are dumped along the beach of Songolo in the fishing district of Ponte Noire, where they are sold on the spot. Many people are also coming to buy these fishes from different areas of the Senegal.
All right, now in the last of our top stories, you find yourself saying, must be nice. Why? Because 72-year-old KZN man claims his 100 million rand Powerball jackpot winnings. A 72-year-old KwaZulu-Natal man who backed the 100 million rand Powerball jackpot from the 16 November draw has come forward to claim his winnings. National Lottery Ituba said after almost a week of calling on KZN players to come forward and claim their winnings, the pensioner came forward, saying he was in a state of complete disbelief. He told Ituba he kept on checking his winning ticket to make sure if he had really won. "I was hoping to catch a big fish, and instead I caught a whale." The winning numbers for Powerball were 0809364250 and the bonus Powerball 04. Ituba CEO Ituba Shamaine Mabuza congratulated the winner. Mabuza said all winners who receive winnings 50,000 rand receive trauma counseling followed by extensive financial advice to assist them with their financial planning at no cost. Not all Christmases will be the same this December.
Some Christmases are going to be optimal.
And some retirement plans are fantastic. All right, this is still Africa. Good morning. We still have so much more for you right after the break. Now, at this point, if there's one thing that is crucial to our progression as humanity, it is ensuring that we have as many green-powered projects going out there. We have to go green. Now, Gerhard Snijderveld of Green Enterprise Solutions shares with NMH's Yolanda Now why the fourth and fifth industrial revolution is on everyone's lips at this very moment. Have a look.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are talking industrial revolution with Kiat here from Green Enterprise Solutions. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure meeting you and obviously listening to you.
Can you quickly tell us what is the fourth and fifth industrial revolution?
So yeah, it's actually on everyone's lips nowadays. But the fourth and the fifth industrial revolution is really about technology, digital world, and how technology really evolved, whereby it's actually enabling us as humans to be much more smart. So the fourth industrial revolution is really built on the third industrial revolution, and the fourth industrial revolution is really built on top of the third, and that's now where we have more compute, for instance, more smart. So as we always say, the digital world nowadays is much bigger than the physical world. And that's really the fourth industrial revolution. Fifth, once again, it's really fourth industrial revolution on steroids. So it's really where human interaction now also start becoming into play, and where big data and those type of things actually now are being used to change the way we interact with one another. That's the fourth industrial revolution.
Why is this growth so important?
So yeah, I mean, if you look at where the world's moving to nowadays, with COVID as well, that actually happened, the worldwide pandemic, we see that there's a lot of uptake on e-learning. As an example, if we can just focus on that e-learning. So kids nowadays do their work from home, especially when it's when the numbers actually rise. So they work, not work, but they actually study from home. And that's where remote learning comes in. So it's really important for us because technology now actually removes that physical connection, that limitation of really being in school. Now you can actually do things at home. So it really enables us to live our daily lives much more smart and more effective.
Can you quickly tell us what changes will we see because of the fourth and fifth industrial revolution?
Yes, so there's quite a lot of changes that's coming our way. If you can even look at even the way so we interact with technology on a daily basis. I mean, when was the last time I actually went into a bank? In fact, it's years ago. Yeah, and to top that, I can even count on one hand how many times I've been to a bank for the last 10 years. Now you can get wallet services on your mobile device, mobile apps to transact. If you look at those type of things, I mean, each and every company nowadays is slowly but surely becoming a tech company. So, and that's across all industries. That's retail, banking, and even food. I mean, nowadays you can order food just by the tap of a button on your mobile device. So it's revolutionizing the way we interact on a daily basis.
I think the changes coming about now is affecting everyone, even children.
Oh yeah.
I think with the previous ones, it was affecting adults in a much bigger way, but now we have kindergarten children having to look at a screen to see their teacher on the other side. And I think they're growing up with limited interaction. Can't that become a social problem?
Yes, definitely. There's always pros and cons.
Yeah.
It's definitely can potentially create a social problem, if not already. I always say that our kids are born nowadays with an IP address. I mean, as soon as they can hold their bottle, they're big enough to hold a phone.
Exactly.
And watch videos and what you have now. So that in itself can potentially be problem in society.
What are the benefits for Namibia?
The benefits for Namibia is really it opens up new economies, like the sharing economy, the Ubers of the world, the Airbnbs. I mean, if we can create those type of platforms so we can connect potential customers with buyers or sellers, that's great.
What further developments do you see from a technological point of view?
Yes. So when we look at all these technologies, I always say it's umbrella words. It's big data, and everything nowadays is smart.
Yes.
So I would say if that data that's generated, if we can actually use that data to make smart decisions, data-driven decisions, that's first class. Data is nowadays a new mineral. That's our new gold. So we must use that data and really try and see how we can improve lives in our country.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be back shortly.
Win instant cash this spring with Top Score Instant. To enter, buy any new pack of Top Score Instant 1 kg or 500 grams from any store countrywide and stand a chance to win one of 2 grand prizes of 20,000 Namibian dollars or one of 12 weekly prizes of 5,000 Namibian dollars. SMS Instant to 24442. Competition ends 30 November 2021. T's and C's apply. Top Score Instant, a proud product of Namib Mills.
Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. It's time for us to cross over to the real Africa, where Master Mike Sichula has the stories on the ground. Master Sichula, we understand that the president of Zambia has traveled to Congo. Please tell us about this.
Mr. Sichula, we can't seem to hear you. Could you just double check the mute function on your screen, sir? Everything's set up on your side. We seem to be having issues crossing over to Mr. Mike Sichula. We'll take a short break and we'll be back just now.
Paint buckets equal to their purchase. One to replace the gold paint, the second to use on your project, and the third to give to a charity of their choice. One winner can score another 10,000 Namibian dollars by showing us your creative use of the golden paint. The best project wins the cash. Offer is valid from 27 September to 18 December at your favorite hardware store nationwide. Visit us at neopaints.com for more competition details and follow us on Facebook for weekly competition updates. Neopaints, a coat of excellence.
We truly apologize for that technical interruption. We do know Mr. Mike Sichula always has a comprehensive package for us from Zambia, and as soon as we can get him on, we'll make sure he can deliver that. But right now, we're all hoping for something special today. No, not the money from payday. That's probably tomorrow, the 30th. We're looking forward to some good weather, so let's check out the forecast up next. Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. We're going to dive straight into your economic news stories. In the first story, flowers rot in farms over standoff with Kenya Airways. A government policy that favors struggling national carrier Kenya Airways against its cheaper competitors to transport fresh produce to other countries continues to hurt other exporters. They have complained about the lack of capacity on KQ to ferry their produce and the airline's expensive air freight charges. They now fear they could be forced in the coming days to throw away half of their produce due to the logistical challenges. Farmers lament that about a quarter of their produce is rotting on farms because of KQ's inability to ferry goods per local demand. KQ, which has struggled with inadequate cargo capacity, is unable to satisfy demand from the local fresh produce sector, but the government is reluctant to allow other carriers, some of which the players say are cheaper than the national carrier, to enter the fray.
In our next story, Libya seeks to increase oil and gas production. Libya is seeking to increase oil and gas production in the country over the next 5 years, Minister of Gas and Oil Mohamed Aoun said on Monday. We plan to increase the oil production to 2.1 million barrels per day and natural gas production to about 4 million cubic feet per day over the next 5 years. We encourage the investments and good use of the oil wealth, the minister added. Moreover, Owen said that Libya seeks to increase refinery capabilities and make use of the alternative energies in addition to making regional and cooperation and investment a priority. Oil and gas represent one major source of Libya's revenue. However, the sector has suffered over the past years from armed conflict and closure of the fields and ports.
All right, Apple to sell spare parts to consumers to repair iPhones and Macs. Apple on Wednesday said it will for the first time start selling spare parts and tools to the general public to perform their own repairs on some iPhones and Mac computers. The self-service repair program comes after years of pressure from consumer groups. In 2019, Apple started a program where independent repair shops can buy its parts, tools, and manuals. Under the self-service program, Apple customers will be able to buy those parts directly to perform their own repairs after reading a manual. The program will eventually extend to Mac computers that use Apple's M1 chip and later to less common repairs. Customers will be offered the same pricing on parts and tools as independent repair shops and will be able to return their used parts to Apple after completing a repair to receive a discount.
Rand hits weakest level in 2021 as international factor bite. The South African rand hits its weakest point in 12 months on Tuesday on the back of a stronger dollar and an expected hit in U.S. interest rates. The rand traded at $15.88 or 0.9% weaker than its previous close and trading at its weakest since November 2020. The dollar jumped on bets for quicker interest rates increases after U.S. Presidential Joe Biden-backed Federal Reserve's Chair Jerome Powell for a second term. The move reinforced market expectations of the U.S. rate rises next year when the central bank finishes tapering its emergency bond buying program. The higher rates in the developed countries often drain the capital, way higher yielding but riskier emerging markets such as South Africa weighing on their currencies.
That brings us to the end of our economic news stories. You know what comes up next? Economic indicators.
Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. Master Sichula, it's good to have you back. Please take your first story. Tell us about Master Hakainde Hichilema's visit to the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Truly unfortunate that we can't hear Mr. Mike Sichula. We certainly know that will be fixed sometime during this week. However, we are going to continue our reputation as the space you can get decentralized news in Africa as we cross over to South Africa to get the news from Ari. Good morning, Ari. Sorry, Ari, we're still waiting for Ari, but as Ari is coming through, we're just going to highlight some of the stories that Ari is going to give us. Political parties had until yesterday to form coalitions in hung municipalities. You know, without trivializing this, when I saw the DA and the EFF coming together, it reminded me of like hip-hop collaborations, which were unlikely, like Nicki Minaj and Cardi B, you know, people who don't really get along, but they're doing their best. He's also going to be talking about environmental activists who are putting huge pressure on Shell to try and stop them from conducting seismic surveys of the east coast of South Africa December. It seems like Ari is here. Ari, when you're ready, take it away.
Yes, very good morning, Ashwin. Seems like there's a few challenges here from South Africa with the line at the moment, but we'll try our best. Firstly, you talked about the seismic testing from Shell. I heard you say there was some demonstrations in Cape Town yesterday. One of the boats, the big boats that arrived to prepare for seismic testing off the coast of South Africa, that's going to happen in December. It's going to be a long process, so we'll see if that can continue. There's lots of negativity around that. Unfortunately, seismic blast, that's air guns that is shooting sound pulses into the waves, into the ocean floor. So that is obviously not good for the dolphins and the sea turtles and the whales. So environmentalists are still...
All right. Ari, are you still there? It seems like we've lost Ari as well.
Yes, we're going to take a short break and we'll try and reconnect with Mr. Ari Hochad in Mzansi. Sorry about that, Ari. We understand you spoke about the environmental activists and, the issue with the seismic surveys. Could you swing back to the story of the political parties and the coalitions?
Yes, good morning, everyone. The coalitions at the moment is big news in South Africa. It is the political parties that after the local government elections had to go to the negotiation table, so to speak, because there wasn't majority winners. And the big winner is actually the Democratic Alliance, it seems like, who managed to get coalition agreements with most of the so-called smaller parties. And all those parties didn't want to work or go into coalition with the ANC. So the big three metropoles in the Gauteng area, Johannesburg, Tshwane, and Ekurhuleni, is all DA, Democratic Alliance mayors that were selected. But I think the reality is that there was now coalitions formed with smaller parties, and specifically the DA will have to manage the EFF in all those situations. And in the lead up to the elections, they said they don't want to work with the EFF, and now they do need to work with the EFF. So we'll have to see what was said we don't know what was said in the boardrooms, but hopefully it will be to the benefit of South Africa.
All right, Gauteng has reported active cases that are on the rise of COVID-19. Please tell us about this.
With the December holidays coming up, many people in South Africa try to get away a little bit, and also the tourism is under pressure. There's been international tourism coming in. So there's talk of a fourth wave, or warnings of a fourth wave. The cases have increased in Gauteng. Of the 350 new cases, about 290 was from the Gauteng region. So it's quite a high volume that is all of a sudden in the Gauteng area. So close to the 7,000 to 10,000 that was in the third wave daily. But there is a spike, unfortunately, also at the university in Pretoria. There was an outbreak. Leading up to December holiday last year, the beaches were closed, especially challenging in South Africa around about 26 December, and the 1st of January there's packed beaches, so that might be a challenge again. And then lastly, also Pfizer requested the Department of Health for a third injection for those people that got 2 Pfizer injections already.
All right, next up, could you tell us about the severe flooding in the Southern Cape?
Enough for everyone. I think that is a challenge. Unfortunately, lots of rain that fell for the past few days. Still some rain up to the weekend. In some areas, 144 millimeters overnight. So it's been massive flooding. Unfortunately, overnight there was reports of a person that unfortunately lost his life. He tried to cross a low water bridge with his vehicle, and it got swept away, so he unfortunately passed away. 10 schools were also closed, but the Department of Education said that the grade 12 exams was not affected, so all those venues where they need to write was open. So all the best for the areas there. Hopefully there's not too much rain flooding in the next day or two.
All right, Ari, we understand that a 75-year-old has a master in education. Now, that's a feel-good story. Please tell us about this.
Yeah, it's a feel-good story. Makes us younger people feel a little bit guilty, isn't it? But the story is it's Jennifer Mgobozi from Cape Town. She went to the Walter Sisulu University. There she is, Jennifer Mgobozi. Great achievement. She got a master's degree in education at the age of 75, and she started studies already in 2018. So great lessons. I think the lesson is that age is just a number that we hear often. Live your life to the fullest. But what I heard from her in one of her quotes is amazing that I think I can leave to all of you is she said, I need to go where I can make a difference. So isn't that amazing? 75 years old, she says that she must go to where she can make a difference at 75. Lesson to all, seize the day and do what you want to do. And so that's the feel-good story of today. So that's the news from South Africa. Hope it's a great day and week for everyone. And we talk again next week, Wednesday, South African news.
All right, thank you very much, Ari. Your master's degree in education and that's the teacher I want.
Yes.
She's got the wisdom and the
doesn't get any better than that.
This is still Africa. Good morning. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
The legitimate limits to freedom of expression, the 3-part test. Freedom of expression is a fundamental right, enshrined in Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which states that everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. This right is also an enabling right, ensuring openness, transparency, and accountability in democratic societies. However, freedom of expression is not an absolute right and may be lawfully restricted in specific and limited conditions. Under international human rights law, and specifically Article 19 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, or ICCPR, the three-part test determines whether a restriction on freedom of expression is legitimate. Any restriction on freedom of expression must thus be provided for by law, pursue a legitimate aim, and be necessary for a legitimate purpose. Part 1. Restrictions must be provided for by law. A restriction to freedom of expression should be provided for by a prior existing law or binding norm, adopted by competent authorities, and which is formulated with sufficient precision to enable citizens to regulate their conduct accordingly. The law or norm must therefore be clear, publicly accessible, and easily understood by everyone. Otherwise, it would risk having a chilling effect on free speech by broadening the scope of permissible restrictions. Part 2. Restrictions must pursue a legitimate aim. Article 19, paragraph 3 of the ICCPR details 4 essential grounds for restrictions. 1. Respect of the rights or reputations of others. 2. The protection of public health. 3. The protection of national security or of public order. And 4. The protection of morals. These grounds for restrictions must be narrowly framed in order to ensure compliance with international law provisions. Part 3. Restrictions must be necessary for the protection or promotion of a legitimate purpose. Restrictions should be effective, proportionate, and the least restrictive possible to achieve the legitimate end pursued. However, this criteria of necessity and proportionality is often the most complex according to international standards. Courts and other public authorities should thus consider the context in which the restriction is applied. For instance, a restriction in favor of national security might be justifiable in times of war, but not in times of peace. The three-part test sets a high standard to justify and clearly express the legitimacy of a restriction to the fundamental right to freedom of expression. In our rapidly changing digital environment, it is all the more important to reinforce the rule of law and the application of the three-part test to guarantee every citizen's right to freedom of expression and access to information. To engage and know more, visit our website and learn about UNESCO's work.
Win instant cash this spring with Top Score Instant. To enter, buy any new pack of Top Score Instant 1 kg or 500 grams from any store countrywide and stand a chance to win one of 2 grand prizes of $20,000 Namibian or one of 12 weekly prizes of $5,000 Namibian. SMS Instant to 24442. Competition ends 30 November 2021. T's and C's apply. Top Score Instant, a proud product of Namib Mills.
Now, one thing that softens the fall of a loss in football is to know that you at least lost to great players, and that's how I've been validating my feelings since Arsenal losing to Liverpool, because Mohamed Salah has been shortlisted for 2021 Best FIFA Men's Player. Liverpool star Mohamed Salah has been nominated for the Best FIFA Men's Player Award, which recognizes a footballer's achievements during the period from October 2020 to August 2021. Joining the Egyptian on the 11-man shortlist is Karim Benzema, Kevin De Bruyne, Erling Haaland, Jorginho Neymar, N'Golo Kante, Robert Lewandowski, Kylian Mbappe, Lionel Messi, and Cristiano Ronaldo, Liverpool said on its official website on Monday. The Liverpool number one is up against Gianluigi Donnarumma, Edouard Mendy, Manuel Neuer, and Kasper Schmeichel in the category. Wow, interesting names. The recipients of the awards are determined by votes from national team coaches, captains, journalists, and fans. The winners will be revealed at a ceremony in Zurich on January 17.
In our next story, Verstappen will have a first shot at F1 title in Saudi Arabia. Max Verstappen will have his first shot at clinching the Formula One title in Saudi Arabia in 2 weeks, but 2 weeks' time, but Red Bull's champion leader could see his advantage disappear entirely. In 2021, the title battle remains too close to call, with Mercedes, the 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, closing the gap to 8 points with another dominant win in Qatar on Sunday. With 2 races remaining, the prospect of a winner-takes-all shootout in the final round at Abu Dhabi Yas Marina is very much alive for Verstappen to clinch the title at the inaugural Saudi Arabia Prix, the Jeddah on the 5th of December. He must finish at least second.
All right, we're swinging over to some cricket as India sweep T20 series against New Zealand to kick off a Dravid era. India's Rohit Sharma and Akshar Patel starred in Kolkata Sunday as the hosts routed World Cup runners-up New Zealand by 73 runs to make a clean sweep of the T20 series. Spinner Patel triggered the New Zealand batting collapse in the 3rd over with 2 wickets to push the steep to a 185 to win target beyond their reach. India, playing under their new coach Rahul Dravid and the new T20 captain Sharma, won the 3-match series in Ranchi on Friday. The 2 teams will now head to northern India's Kanpur city for the first test next week. Dravid said that it was a nice start after his first series win as India coach. New Zealand captain Kane Williamson, who opted out of the India T20s, will return to lead the team in Kanpur.
World number 1 Bharti caps the year by getting engaged. Ashley Bharti capped her 3rd straight season as world number 1 Tuesday by announcing she is engaged to her longtime boyfriend Gary Kissig. The Australian revealed the happy news in an Instagram post, sharing a photo of her smiling couple embracing with the engagement ring on her finger. She captioned, "Future husband." Bharti, who's 25, also accompanied the post with a love heart emoji and a ring one as well. Kissig is 30, he's also a former golf pro, and the pair met on a course in Bharti's home state in Queensland in 2016. He is ever present courtside when she plays and often posts supportive messages on social media.
In the words of the indomitable Beyonce, if you like it, put a ring on it.
Halala.
This is absolutely congratulations, Ms. Bharti. This is Still Africa. Good morning. Your headlines after the break. We all experience different types of mornings, but if you want an Africa good morning, you tune in every weekday from 7 a.m. as we bring you the news and current affairs from the SADC region and beyond. Next up, let's have a look at the headlines from today's top stories. Congo militiamen launched deadly attack on displaced people's camp in the east. At least 10 civilians, 9 gendarmes killed in attack in Burkina Faso. Samim kills 11 ASWJ terrorists. Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed vows to lead army from the battlefront. Flowers rot in farms over standoff with Kenya Airways. And in sport, Mohamed Salah shortlisted for 2021 Best FIFA Men's Player. Those have been our stories.
Thank you very much for joining us on this wholesome edition of Africa Good Morning. We do welcome your remarks regarding our show. You can email them to us. Our email is agm_2cents@nmh.com.na. Alternatively, we are on Facebook and Twitter. That's at Africa Good Morning. We also have a website, and that is where you can catch all our shows. Please play your part against the fight of COVID-19. Get vaccinated and avoid unnecessary public gatherings.
All right, until tomorrow, Swera Jakanaka.